Welcome to the deep dive. Ever click on an app or website and it just feels right for you, even if it wasn't originally made in your language? Well, that feeling is often the result of something we're digging into today: software localization testing.
Yeah, and it's way more than just, translating words.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about making software truly feel at home wherever it's used.
Right, giving it a local soul, so to speak. And for you, our listener, keen on getting up to speed quickly, this deep dive should really help.
We're looking at excerpts from A Guide to Software Localization Testing.
Yep. And our mission today is pretty straightforward. Figure out what this testing is, why it's so essential for global software, and what the key parts are.
Okay, let's start there. At its core, what exactly is localization testing?
So localization testing is a really specific type of software testing. It's not like your standard functional testing.
How so?
It zooms right in on how well the software works for a particular place, a region, a language, a culture.
Oh.
The main goal, checking if it's linguistically right and culturally appropriate. It's really about tailoring the software, the whole experience, for a target language and country.
So definitely not just swapping out English words for, say, German ones.
No, not at all. The guide makes it clear we're looking at two main things: the content, all the text the user actually reads, and the user interface, the UI.
The UI being the layout, the look and feel.
Exactly. The visuals, how it's all presented. Think about it. Software for Tamil Nadu in India, it needs Tamil, sure, but maybe also a Tamil virtual keyboard for input.
That's a very specific local need.
Right. Or, flip side, software for the U.S. needs American English, U.S. date formats, time zones, U.S. dollars for currency.
Those ingrained expectations, things you don't even think about until they're wrong.
Precisely. You want it to feel like it was made there for those users, not like some awkward translated afterthought.
Okay, that makes sense. So why put in all that effort? Why is localization testing so, well, critical?
Well, the main reason, as the guide highlights, is to check those language and cultural bits we just talked about.
To make sure it feels right.
Exactly. If someone in France uses it, everything, language, layout, maybe even color choices, should feel natural, correct for them. And that often means tweaking the UI, changing default settings, all based on what that market needs.
Right. And the guide mentions multiple testers often doing the same tasks. Why is that? What are they looking for?
They're basically putting themselves in the shoes of someone from that specific place.
Okay.
They're hunting for typos, which can be trickier or mean different things in other languages. They're checking if the UI is culturally okay, like are the images or icons used appropriate? Do the colors mean something weird there?
Haven't thought about colors.
Yeah. And of course, any straight-up linguistic mistakes that could confuse people or just give a bad impression.
Now, I saw this term pop up, L10N. Sounds like jargon. What's the story there?
Ah, yeah. L10N. It's just a shorthand, really common in the localization world. The L is the first letter of localization, the N is the last, and the 10.
Let me guess. 10 letters in between.
You got it. LN. It's just faster to write and say. An industry nickname, basically.
Got it. L10N. Okay, so practically, how does this testing actually happen? What are the stages?
The guide lays out a fairly standard process. It often starts with something called build verification testing.
Build verification.
Yeah, it's not just for localization, it's more general. It's like a quick health check on the software build, making sure the basics work before you dive into the language stuff.
Right, make sure the car starts before you check the radio presets. What's next?
Then comes normal testing. Again, this is broader, running the usual test cases to find any general bugs in the software.
Standard QA stuff.
Pretty much. After that, very importantly, is regression testing.
Checking that fixes didn't break anything else.
Exactly. Super important. You fix a translation issue in the French version, you need to be sure it didn't mess up the login for everyone else.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And the final step before it goes out the door.
That's the final sign-off. One last thorough check of the localized version. Make sure everything's good to go for users in that specific region.
Okay. Now, we live in an automated world. Does automation fit into localization testing?
Oh, definitely. The guide points out it's especially helpful for big projects, ones that get updated a lot.
Save time, I assume.
Big time. The usual approach is pick an automation tool, write scripts that test the localization-specific things, run them, and get your pass-fail results. Tracks everything nicely.
The guide mentions Selenium specifically. What's the significance there?
Selenium's huge for automating web browser stuff, so great for web apps.
But there's always a but.
Well, the guide notes, and it's true, using Selenium effectively usually needs some real technical skill. Programming, understanding web tech, it's powerful, but not quite plug and play, especially with complex language layouts.
Right, it takes expertise. So if you want to do this really well, what are the best practices? The guide had a sort of checklist.
Yeah, some key pointers. One big one is teaming up with localization firms that really know I-18 engineering.
Okay. Another term, I-18N, like L10N.
Exactly the same idea. IN, it stands for internationalization.
And internationalization is?
It's designing the software from the ground up so it can be easily localized later. Getting experts in I-18N involved early means you're building something adaptable from the start, a solid foundation.
Bake it in early. Got it. What else is crucial?
Budgeting more time for testing languages that use double byte characters, that's DBCS.
DBCS, like Chinese, Japanese, Korean.
Yep. Each character can take up 2 bytes of data, unlike, say, English or French. Testing these just takes longer. Rendering, layout complexities. It's not a simple character swap.
That's a really important detail, easy to overlook. What about the code itself?
The guide really stresses getting the code properly internationalized for DBCS before you even translate, making sure the software's structure can actually handle those characters without glitches.
So technical groundwork first.
Absolutely. And finally, understanding the difference between localization, adapting for one specific market, and globalization, designing to be adaptable for any market. Related, but not the same thing.
Okay, that framework helps. Let's get specific. The guide lists example test cases. What are testers actually doing? Check by check.
Okay, so one basic thing. Checking glossaries. Are they available? Are key terms used consistently as defined in the glossary?
Consistency is key.
Totally. Then, simple but vital. Are time and date formats correct for the region? Is the phone number format right? Currency symbol correct? Imagine seeing a price in euros in a UK app.
Yeah, instant confusion or distrust. What else?
Checking legal stuff licenses, rules, making sure they comply with the local regulations for that region or website. Then there's layout.
Layout seems tricky with the different languages.
It can be. Testers check text flow, make sure fonts look right for the language, check line breaks, alignment. Also, do special characters work, hyperlinks, keyboard shortcuts. These can all break during localization.
And when the user does something, like fills in a form,
Validation messages are key. Are they in the right language? Is the tone culturally okay? Testers also verify all the needed language files are actually in the build.
you don't want bits missing.
Definitely not. They often do a side-by-side comparison. Localized UI versus the original source UI. Are all the buttons there, in the right order, same number of options?
That sounds meticulous.
It has to be. And finally, testing it on different operating systems or environments common in that target region. Check for platform-specific weirdness.
Wow, okay. That's a lot of detailed checking. Looking at the big picture then, what are the payoffs, the advantages of doing all this thoroughly?
The guide points out some good ones. First, catching these issues early can actually reduce overall testing costs later.
Less rework down the line.
Exactly. It can also seriously cut down on customer support costs. Fewer confused or frustrated users calling in.
Makes sense.
Plus, fixing things proactively can shorten the overall testing time needed before release. And big picture, it makes the software more flexible and scalable for entering new global markets.
Those are strong business arguments.
Yeah.
But surely there are downsides, challenges.
Oh, for sure. The guide mentions a few. Needing real domain experts is one people who get both the software and the local culture.
Not always easy to find.
Nope. And hiring skilled local translators and testers. That can get expensive.
Budget concerns.
Definitely. Then there are technical hurdles, like how different countries might store or handle those DBCS characters slightly differently. And just the logistics coordinating testing teams across different time zones can be a headache.
Yeah, scheduling challenges. So it's valuable, but not necessarily easy. If we boil it all down, what's the ultimate goal here?
Fundamentally, localization testing is about making sure the software acts right and feels right according to local cultural norms and settings.
Content and UI.
Primarily, yes. The language, the info, how it's presented, how you interact with it, it's all about checking linguistic accuracy, cultural fit, and following local standards.
So really understanding this stuff gives you insight into what it takes to make software genuinely global and user-friendly. It's about making people feel seen, understood by the tech.
Exactly. Building that trust, ensuring a smooth experience no matter where someone is.
Right. And that leads to a final thought. Considering how deep language and culture run, what might be some really unexpected challenges, things beyond just translation or date formats, that could make software just not click with users in a new place. Something to think about.
That is interesting. A lot to unpack there.
Indeed. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.